There is a power that's laid dormant deep within you, a power that, if you had activated today, can begin to shift and shape your reality to your will. Are you happy with the job you're working at? Are you happy with the program that you're taking? Are you happy with the amount of money you're making? All of these things are in your control when you unlock this power. And here's the thing. The ancient people knew this. They knew this idea that they could generate reality, that they as an individual had complete control over the things that would witness and would get to engage with, and the opportunities that they would get to align with on a daily basis. We've been severed off from this connection because many of us grow up subconsciously programmed by what I call the control system, a group of ideas and ways of living that make us all believe that we're slaves to our own realities, that we just have things happen to us, that we live in this plane of effects. But in this video, we're going to talk about activating this ability deep within you. And once you fully understand the organ that's at the center of this, it is not your brain. Once you understand the organ that is at the center of this, activating it, and going through the process I tell you in this video, you will then become the generator of your reality. You will be able to take your power back and begin shifting towards the things that you've always desired. Roadblocks will no longer seem like they're roadblocks and will actually seem maybe more like opportunities. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. Going through medical school, they used to tell us that the heart is a pump. Of course, it pumps blood throughout your body. But there's an ability of your heart that, if you understood how to activate this ability, would make your system as a human being function very differently, would make you see the world very differently. Your perspective would shift. Opportunities that you could no longer see would be well within your sight. And the plan of action that you need to get there, to get to from where you are to where you want to be, that belief gap will be closed very, very quickly. Now you'll notice some people have a greater level of intuition than others. They're able to sense things, they're able to feel things, even sometimes on a psychic level. How are they able to do that? Why is it that some people are able to do this and others can't? It comes down to the ability to tap into this heart field and this field of knowledge. These people are sort of like gardeners of their reality. I started growing a bunch of different vegetables this year. Tomatoes, I got some onions going, I got some garlic going, I got all these different things growing in my garden. Shout out to the gardeners out there. But I realized that creating our reality through this heart field is the same way we approach gardening. I start all my plants from seed. I plant all my seeds. And then I nurture those seeds. And I have the expectation that they will turn into plants. I have the expectation that they'll bear fruits, whatever fruit or vegetable that I read on the back of that package, right? If it says I'm going to grow a cucumber, I'm not expecting that to turn into a tomato. It's going to be a cucumber. And then I'm not digging that seed up every day to see if it's growing. I trust that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And the heart has this ability to sort of guide you towards the goals that you've set consciously. Your heart works deeply with the subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is sort of the womb of your reality. It is the memory of your life. Everything that's happened from the point you were born and even before you were born to now. It is a great collective holder of information. And your heart can interface with this information and communicate it, bringing these things closer to you as intuition, as intuitive insights, as a shift in perception to see things more clearly. So how do we really tune into this ability? How do we actually follow our hearts? How do we actually follow our intuition and become closer to the things that you've desired? No doubt you're going to work. And actually, I'll tell you a story. When I first started to realize I was no longer happy with my job, working 70, 80 hours a week as a paramedic, I'd be driving to work, looking down at my coffee cup, looking at the coffee swirling in the cup, and thinking to myself, this might be the best part of my day. Now, how sad is that, right? Because I wasn't living to my full potential. I knew there was something greater for me, but I had been severed off from this connection to feel and to see through my heart's ability, this knowledge. And I didn't really have a sense of intuition of where I wanted to go. I just knew where I wasn't right. Then I was diagnosed with PTSD, and this is where I started to learn this technique that I'm about to share with you now. And it sounds so simple, but once you begin to do it, you'll begin to see a greater level of intuition open up for you, a greater level of information and opportunities coming to you. So I made a whole video on this in detail, but the idea here is to surrender. The first part was where I was at, was awareness. You know you hate the job you're at. You hate where you are in life right now. But oftentimes, we know exactly what we don't want and don't have the ability to see where we're going. The heart will help you see. This infinite field of knowledge, this electromagnetic ability will help you see. So once you're aware, the next key here is surrender. And to surrender to three things. There's levels to this game. There's levels to this game. And the first level here is to surrender to your ego. Your ego is, in fact, your amigo, when you make it that way. But many times, the ego is completely taking control over our lives. It's that part of ourselves, the lower nature of ourselves, that's rooted in our old survival instincts, that is designed to keep us safe. And the thing is, not only is risk a subjective thing, but the ego will often twist your perception to make you feel convinced that where you are now is perfectly safe, even though you emotionally, on a heart level, don't desire it. So to surrender the ego and know that this idea of this thing keeping you safe, this job security, is simply an illusion. It's an illusion created from your past. It's an illusion that's been birthed from the womb of your reality. And you actually must remove this part of yourself. You must, in a way, for a period of time, even silence it. Because the ego, if it's controlling your life, it needs to be more seen as a young child that you're taking gently by the hand through your life, right? And that's what I began to do. I began to realize that yes, I had a stable income, I had a salary, I had some sort of structure in my life, that I would have to allow that to fall apart for some period of time, that I would have to step out beyond my boundaries and actually, first of all, get help with some of the mental health challenges that I was facing, and begin to see things more clearly, begin to get a new perspective on my life. Now, the next thing here is your thoughts and your feelings. You see, your thoughts come from your mind, which is all electric. Your feelings or your emotions come from your heart, which is magnetic. And when your thoughts and emotions combine, they create something called a feeling, which is the electromagnetic ability of your heart. It's this ability of your heart that we've been talking about for this whole video. And so you have to surrender to your current thoughts and surrender to your current emotions. This is where emotional detachment comes into play. Because where your attention goes, energy flows. There's three kinds of attention. There's positive attention, there's negative attention, and there's neutral attention. The one that will help you here the most is neutral attention. When looking at a thing, when looking at something that maybe previously bothered you, to look at it as an observed object, to see it from a distance. It is not something that excites you. It is not something that makes you feel bad. To really just see things with a state of neutrality. And of course, thinking positively about things helps, but if you don't feel aligned emotionally, it can actually be more harmful than good. If you're thinking just positive thoughts, like many people tell you, oh, just think positive thoughts, and you're not actually emotionally aligned with that, then it's not going to help you. So begin to see things with a state of neutrality. Things are just what they are, but they've been created by you, which means you can create new things. You can create a new version of those things, or you can completely move away from those things. So once you realize You've redirected your attention now, right? You've surrendered to your thoughts and emotions. The last part here that many of people in the world today are struggling with is something much bigger than yourself. Whether you believe in God or the universal force or something more divine that's much bigger than yourself, to believe in a force that's much bigger than yourself. Because the thing is, you were created in the image of a creator, but you can also create as you were created. So that means there's a divine force, there's a higher self, a higher guide. There's versions of you in other realities that you're able to really reach and able to interface with through this heart connection. But that means actually listening to your heart and not being overly rational with your mind. Because oftentimes you get an intuitive insight. It sounds so great. It sounds amazing. And then what happens? We overthink it. We pick it apart until it doesn't really make sense to us anymore. The key here is to, what I call, get into don't give a fuck mode. You get don't give a fuck mode means you get an intuitive insight. You get something that comes down to you, an idea, a perspective, and you begin moving towards that thing. You think about something, it's an inspired thought, you feel the emotion that's aligned with it, immediately take action towards it. Even little steps will begin to create massive momentum in your life. And when you reach these 3 levels of surrender, which can take a little time or can happen very quickly depending on your state and how quickly you approach them, you'll see you become the generator of your reality. Reality becomes yours. You become the creator. And you are no longer going to bend to the will of things around you, of what people want out of you, and essentially this control system that's had a grasp on you over your whole life. This is the process of deprogramming and connecting more deeply with your heart. If you're interested in working more closely together, I have a link down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Until next time, peace.